Hello students, today we are moving to the last part of the chapter, that is the gonads. So the last endocrine glands we have to see here, these are the gonads. So we are going to have the male and female organs and the gonads in case of male and in case of female. Let us see. In case of male, the gonad are testes, a pair of testes are present, and in case of female, these are a pair of ovaries. Okay. So the main function of testis and ovary, they are to produce the gametes. That means the testis will produce the chief function or the sole function of the testis is to carry on spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis means a process of production of the sperm, and for the ovaries the chief function is oogenesis. Oogenesis means for the this is the process of formation of ovum. But along with that, for the process of spermatogenesis and for the process of oogenesis, they also require to release some hormones so that the spermatogenesis and oogenesis can be carried. So the testis will release some hormones also. So in case of the testis, the hormone is testosterone. Okay, and in case of female, this is acting as an endocrine gland, because for oogenesis the hormones are required, so there are two hormones released. So that's why it is acting, both the testes and ovaries can act as endocrine glands also, because the organs, they're actually the reproductive organ who produce the gametes. For the production of gametes, they require the release of hormones. So that hormones are released by the testis and ovary itself. So in case of testis, it is testosterone. In case of females, in the ovaries, there are two hormones released. What are they? One is the estrogens and the next one is the progesterone. So there are two hormones released, estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so let us see who is going to release the estrogen and progesterone. And in case of male, this is released testosterone. Okay, so just see if it is the testosterone, what is present. First of all, in case of male reproductive system, you can see these are a pair of testes. 250 compartments are there, and those 250 compartments are called as testicular lobule. Inside one testicular lobule, if you want to see inside what is present, it is going to be 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubules. Inside the seminiferous tubule, there are some cells present, like Sertoli cells are there, and germ cells, that means germ cell producing cells are also there. Then outside the seminiferous tubule, some cells are present, they are called as the interstitial cell. Okay, this interstitial cells are also called as the Leydig cells. Okay, so these Leydig cells are going to release the hormone, that is testosterone. So what is the function of the testosterone? Testosterone help in the production of the sperm, that is in the spermatogenesis. Next one, the testosterone will also help in another function, that is the development of the secondary sexual characters. So what are the secondary sexual characters? In case of the males, that is for the development of the beard in the face, so facial hair growth will be promoted, broad musculature, then broad pelvic girdle, broad pectoral girdle, broad shoulder, then the voice will be a little more hoarse. So these are the characteristics of the second that is the testosterone hormone in case of male. That is, first function is to production of the sperm. For the process spermatogenesis, testosterone hormone is required. Second is for the secondary sexual characters. So the next we will see in case of ovaries, what is it? Okay, so actually in the ovaries, we just remember this thing, but in detail you will get in the second year, that is in the human reproduction chapter, you will get it in detail, that in the pair of ovaries, these are lined with the germinal epithelium. Inside we are going to have some cells. So these are the cells which are growing, and at one period of time it is called as the Graafian follicle. So this Graafian follicle is going to release the hormone that is called as estrogens. Okay, and the next one, after suppose ovulation has taken place. Okay, after ovulation, the remaining part of the Graafian follicle will form the corpus luteum. So this corpus luteum will release the next hormone that is called as the progesterone. Okay, so these are progesterone. Okay, so these two hormones will be released by the ovaries. Now just see what is the function of the hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. If it comes to the estrogens, remember it is helping in oogenesis. The estrogens, which is released by the Graafian follicle, estrogen will be required for the formation of the endometrium, which is the innermost lining of the uterus, and also for the Graafian follicle's own development and maturation, estrogens will be required. Next hormone, which is the corpus luteum, will release a hormone that is called progesterone. Progesterone helps in this is called as pregnancy maintaining hormone. So it will allow the endometrium to be attached with the uterine lining. It helps in mammary gland development during pregnancy. Okay, so these are the functions of the progesterone. It will also stop ovulation in the ovulation in the period of pregnancy or in the secretory period. So that will be given in detail in human reproduction second year chapter, but for now you just remember this much thing, it will be more than enough. After that, see, we have completed all the types of endocrine glands, but apart from the endocrine glands also we are going to have some other glands which is acting as endocrine glands. We are going to have number of glands. So let us see some other glands. So those other glands which are releasing a number of hormones which also have number of functions. Yeah, one more thing I need to tell you, that in case of ovaries there is another hormone release that is called as relaxin. Relaxin hormone will be released at the time of parturition, that means at the childbirth. So during the childbirth, the vigorous contraction occurs due to the hormone oxytocin, and the after contraction simultaneously we need to have relaxation too. So relaxation of uterus during childbirth or parturition, the another hormone will be released by the ovary, that is called as relaxin. So we will see some other organs which will act as the endocrine glands. So first of all we'll see here the heart. Heart will release a hormone. I have already mentioned here, it is in the chapter excretory product and their elimination. We have seen that heart is releasing ANF. Function of ANF I will not tell you, I have already told you. Next one, the another organ, that is kidney. The kidneys release the hormones. What are the hormones? They are renin hormone will be released, erythropoietin will be released. This way we have the GI tract. In the GI tract also number of hormones are there, like gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin. So this way, these are the different hormones released. Yes, liver also release another hormone. So the hormone of liver and GI tract, we have mentioned it in the digestive tract. And the function of the kidneys and heart, their endocrine function, we have discussed it in the excretory product and their elimination. So these are the different other organs which is acting as the endocrine glands, because temporarily they are releasing some hormones. Those hormones are performing different varieties of function. After that, let us move to the next very important thing, that is the mechanism of hormone action. Before the mechanism of hormone action, we'll see the classification of hormones. Okay, depending on the characteristics, the nature or the type or compounds present in that hormone, the compound which is forming that hormone, we'll see that part first. So let us move to the classification of the hormones. So in this classification, depending upon the type of compound the hormone is made up of, we are going to have 4 different types of categories. These are already given in the NCERT. So first of all, we are going to have amino acid derivative, protein derivative, iodine derivative, and the steroid derivative. So the hormones, it is very much difficult to remember. So you can remember the type of hormones depending upon their glands. Okay, so the amino acid derivative are the hormones released from the adrenal medulla and pineal gland. Adrenal medulla release two hormones, that is adrenaline and noradrenaline, which are amino acid derivative, and pineal gland is releasing one hormone, that is melatonin, which is also an amino acid derivative. Next one, this is the protein derivative. So the protein hormones are pituitary, hypothalamus, calcitonin and thymus. So pituitary gland releases 9 hormones. Pituitary gland, which have the adenohypophysis, which release 7 hormones, that are the CH hormone, then MSH hormone, then TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenal corticotrophic hormone, then we have the LH, FSH, prolactin. Then from the neurohypophysis, there are 2 hormones. There are the oxytocin and vasopressin, which are released from pituitary gland, are the protein derivative. Then hypothalamus will release oxytocin, vasopressin and releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone for the adenohypophysis. Calcitonin from the thyroid gland, and thymus release the thymosin hormone, which are the protein derivative. Next one, iodine derivative, that is the thyroid gland, which release the thyroxine, is a iodine derivative, but calcitonin is a protein derivative, remember. Next one, the steroid hormones. I already have told you the corticosteroid, that means cortex, adrenal cortex, the steroid hormone, mineralocorticoid, glucocorticoid and gonadocorticoids are the steroid hormone, and the sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone and testosterone, they are the sex hormones. These are the steroid hormones or lipid in nature. But here we need to know a very important thing, that in case of this amino acid derivative and protein derivative, they are lipid insoluble hormone. Okay, so for the lipid insoluble hormone, we have a different mechanism of hormone action, and for the lipid soluble characteristic, we have another characteristics, that the mechanism of hormone action is different. Now just see, this is suppose the plasma membrane. Here suppose the nucleus, within the nucleus we have the genetic material DNA. In this mechanism of hormone action, we need to cause a change in the genetic material DNA so that we can produce or stop the release of protein or production of protein. So here also, this is the lipid bilayer, this is nucleus, this is the genetic material. We need to cause change in the DNA so that we can stop or accelerate the release of protein. Now, if it comes to the lipid insoluble hormone, that is for the amino acid derivative and protein derivative hormones, what happens? The hormones, they are released, they will be released from the origin, they will mix in the blood and they will come to the target organ. So in the target organ, there are some receptors present. Okay, so these receptors are extracellular receptors. So with the receptors, they will be attached. The hormone itself cannot enter inside the cell. So inside the cell, there are some secondary messengers present. So those secondary messengers now will carry this information inside the nucleus, and inside the nucleus they will cause the stimulation of a hormone. They can be excitatory or inhibitory, right? So they can stimulate or they can inhibit the protein production. Either it can stimulate the protein production or stop the protein production by the DNA. So this is how the lipid insoluble hormone works, because lipid insoluble hormone cannot invade the lipid bilayer membrane, so they will carry the message via some secondary messengers. So these are the secondary messengers. So we have different type of secondary messengers like CAMP, CGMP, cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, then calcium ion. These are different varieties of secondary messengers we have. The next one, that is the lipid soluble hormones. For the lipid soluble hormones, we don't have any type of messengers on the extracellular surface. That this type of receptors will be not there. They can directly enter inside the nucleus, and maybe in the nucleus there are some intercellular messengers can be present who will carry this information, and it will stimulate the DNA genetic material to either stimulate or inhibit its function. Okay, so this is how the lipid insoluble hormones work. So from this, you need to remember only the category, and you can easily able to understand what actually the function is. Either it can be secondary messengers required or not. Yes, secondary messengers will be required for the amino acid derivative and protein derivative, but the secondary messengers, help of the secondary messengers will be not needed for the iodine derivative and the steroid derivative. So that's all about the whole chapter, that is chemical coordination and integration. I hope you understand, and go revise, read NCERT, practice the questions, MCQs, and that's how you can able to clear. Okay, for NEET, so good luck for your NEET. Do best in your exam, read as much as you can, practice as much as the questions you can. That's all about the video, at the end of our first year course. Thank you.